My dear children, last class we started to discuss about our environment, and you know environment comprises of both biotic as well as abiotic factors, and they all interact with each other and we can call them as a system. What is that? Ecosystem. And you know about different types of ecosystem. Typical example, garden is an ecosystem. And also we discussed that organisms that are in an ecosystem, they can be grouped under different categories based on the nutrition. What are they? Producers, consumers and decomposers. And so again, these consumers, we can divide the consumers based on the food they consume. We can again divide them into some more groups. What are they? Yes, they are the herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, isn't it? Decomposers, etc. So different groups of, again we can classify them into different groups. So now we can say that they all are interacting. So how all these organisms are interacted? So just look at the garden. So you can look at the board, you can see a garden there. And in the garden, this we can see the grass, grasshopper, then you can see the frog, snake. So these are some few examples of organisms that we can see in the garden. So as we all know, they are interacting with each other. And how they are interacted? In what manner they are interacted? Yes, the grass is eaten by whom? Grass is eaten by the grasshopper, and grasshopper is eaten by the frog, and frog is eaten by the snake. That is a relation. That is a relation among these organisms. Grass is eaten by the grasshopper, grasshopper is eaten by the frog, frog is eaten by the snake. So we can call, as this interaction is there, then we can call that chain as a food chain. That term is very, very familiar to you, food chain. It's the form of a chain, isn't it? It's the form of a chain. So we can call it as what? Food chain. Why it is known as food chain? Yes, for what they depend upon each other. It is for their survival. It is for getting the food. It is for getting the energy. Ultimate reason is that for getting the energy only, these organisms, they are interacted with each other. For getting the food, grasshopper eat the grass. In turn, it gets the energy. For getting the food or getting the energy, frog eats the grasshopper. Similarly, for getting the food or energy, snake eats the frog. So such a chain, it is known as what? Food chain. It's an interrelation or interconnection among various organisms for what? For receiving the food as well as the energy. As the food or energy is getting transferred or food is getting transferred, we can call it as what? A food chain. Clear? Because it's a form of a chain as a food, because one organism is eating the other and that same organism is eaten by other organism. No one is safe there. Maybe the ultimate organism may be safe. We can't say snake is also safe there. If hawk can eat the snake. Sometimes owl can eat the snake. So we can't say snake is safe there. Almost all the organisms they are in a threat to be eaten by other organisms. We know that now we are safe here. But once we go to the forest, are we safe there? Certainly not. Because we are in a threat of being eaten by other organisms. If we fall into the sea, you can be eaten by the shark, other organisms. So we are not safe there also. So almost all the organisms in this earth crust, they are all in a threat of being attacked by others. It may be for food, it may be for other reason. So now we can come to our food chain. Clear? So the grass is eaten by simple food chain. Grass is eaten by the grasshopper. Grasshopper is eaten by the frog, and frog is eaten by the snake. And such a chain, it is known as what? Food chain. And you could understand every level in the food chain, it is known as what? Trophic level. Another important term. Please note down. Every level in the food chain, this is the first level, second level, third level, fourth level. So in this food chain, how many levels are there? 4 levels are there, and that each level is known as what? trophic level. Very, very important term. Each level in a food chain, it is known as what? Trophic level. Clear? So in this food chain, how many trophic levels are there? Yes, there are 4 trophic levels are there in this food chain. Now, yes. So again, as I told you, the consumers, we can again divide them into different groups. Consumers, we can again divide them into different groups. Consumers. First, herbivorous, carnivorous. Main 3 classifications. Main 3 classification of the consumers, they are the herbivorous, carnivorous and the omnivorous. Clear? Because herbivorous plant eating, carnivorous flesh eating, omnivorous is the combination of these two. Okay, so now we can again come to this food chain. Here, producer, of course, no classification. So grass is what? Grass is the producer. And one more thing you should understand, these herbivorous, they can be called as what? Primary consumers. Primary consumers, herbivorous. Then carnivorous, we can, 2 types of carnivorous are there. They can be divided into secondary consumer and tertiary consumer. Secondary consumer and the tertiary consumer. Secondary consumer, we can call them as small carnivorous, isn't it? Small carnivorous are known as the secondary consumers, and the large carnivorous, they are known as the tertiary consumer. Clear? So the carnivorous, 2 groups are there, small carnivorous like the frog. So frog is the, and this omnivorous, we also come under what? Secondary consumer also, or we can come under what? Primary consumer also. That's a very interesting thing about the human beings. As we eat the plants directly, we come under primary consumer. When the plants are eaten by the goat or the hen, when we eat it, then we come under which consumer? Secondary consumer. Clear? So we can, and tertiary consumer, some situations we can come under tertiary consumer also. Some organisms, some individual human beings are there in different, China and all, they eat the snake. So when we eat the snake, we come under which group? We come under the, not tertiary, quaternary consumer is there. Again, 4th level is also there. So our human beings can come under primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, and one more level is there, quaternary consumer. Clear? So you should understand about these 3 mainly: primary consumer, secondary consumer and tertiary consumer. So the primary consumers, they are the herbivorous. Plant eating organisms, they come under which group? They come under primary consumers. And when the small level of carnivores, when they eat the primary consumers, they are known as what? Secondary consumers. When the organism, when they eat the secondary consumers, they are known as the tertiary consumer. Now we can come to the food chain. Grass is the producer. What about grasshopper? It is the primary consumer. I'm writing the short form. It is the primary consumer. Grass is eaten by the grasshopper. Grasshopper is eaten by the frog. Then what about the frog? Frog, it is the secondary consumer. Frog is the secondary consumer. Then frog is eaten by the snake. Then snake come under what? Snake come under tertiary consumer. I am writing this T, tertiary consumer. So when we observe this small food chain, you could understand that grass, it is the producer. All the organisms are there. Grass is the producer. Grasshopper is the primary consumer. Why it is not as primary consumer? Because this grasshopper is an herbivorous, so it directly eats the plant. So primary consumer. directly eating it. When we eat the plants, we are also known as what? Primary consumers. Next one is why this frog is not a secondary consumer. Is it eating the plant directly or is it eating the grass directly? No, it is eating the grasshopper. Then what does this grasshopper eat? Grasshopper eat the grass. So it is the secondary consumer. Then what about the snake? It is known as the tertiary consumer. Why the snake is known as tertiary consumer? Because it is eating the frog. Frog is eating the grasshopper. Grasshopper is eating the grass. So in this manner, you could understand that every food chain is having this many group of organisms. Producer, of course, is there. Then consumers are there. Consumers again, different types. Primary, secondary, tertiary, and in some food chain, we can see this quaternary. For example, here, the snake is eaten by a hawk. Then that hawk will come under which group? Quaternary consumer. Okay, quaternary consumer. Mainly every food chain may ends there, quaternary consumer. Rarely only something go beyond it. Very rarely only. Normally, tertiary consumer, up to that level only, majority of the food chain are there. But in some situations, we could see quaternary consumer also. As in the case of snake, the snake is eaten by the hawk. Then hawk will come under which group? Quaternary consumer. So, every level in the food chain, it is known as the trophic level. So, first trophic level will be the producer. Second trophic level, it will be the primary consumer. Third trophic level will be the secondary consumer. And the fourth trophic level will be the tertiary consumer. Normally, every food chain should consist of 2 to maximum 4 levels only. Then that's why that we are going to discuss it. Why every food chain should consist of 3 to 4, maximum 4 levels. Almost all exceptions are there, as I told you, but almost all the food chain, they consist of how many levels are they? 2 or 3 or 4 levels are there. Then want to find out the reason. Don't want to know the reason? Yes. So here, we could understand that the grass is the producer, isn't it? So, you know, we all know that organisms are eating or for getting what? Food as well as what? Definitely energy. So, the grass, it is a producer. What's the function of the producer? Yes, it prepares the food by, is preparation of the food with the help of what? Sunlight. With the help of sunlight. And what is that process known as? Yes, it is the photosynthesis. So with the help of sunlight, the green plants or the grass, they prepare the food. So just imagine that grass with the producers, they prepare the food with the help of sunlight. So the grass has prepared the food, isn't it? So when the grasshopper eat the grass, when the grasshopper eat the grass for what? For getting the energy. So from here you should understand that energy is transferred from grass to grasshopper. Energy is transferred from grass to grasshopper. When the energy is transferred in the chapter sources of energy, you had studied that when one form of energy is transferred to another form, what happens? Large amount of energy is lost as heat or it dissipates to the environment. When one form of energy is transferred to another form, definitely large amount of energy is lost as heat to the environment. Clear? Yes. So similarly, when the grasshopper eats the grass, definitely you know what happened. The large amount of energy is lost. Similarly, when the grasshopper is eaten by the frog, same thing happens. When frog is eaten by the snake, energy get lost. Yes, as the step increases, the energy consumption also will be lesser. Grasshopper, frog, let's again get less energy. Snake again gets less energy. If snake is eaten by the hawk or the owl, again it gets the less energy. So after a lot of investigation and experiments, it was found out that the the rule or the law is there, how the energy is passed from one level to another. Certain law is followed there. After a lot of experiments and investigations, the scientists, they reached a conclusion that how much percentage of energy is transferred from one level to another. ഒരു ലെവലിൽ നിന്ന് മറ്റേ ലെവലിലോട്ട് എത്ര എനർജി ആണ് പാസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് എന്നുള്ളത് they had made a law. That law, it is the 10% law. Yes, see, I'm coming to it. Wait. In grass, you know, grass receives the sunlight. We all know it. With the help of sunlight only, grass can prepare the food. Am I right? Is anybody else having any objection? No. Without the sunlight, grass cannot prepare the food. So grass has prepared the food. So enough sunlight, you know that grass is receiving enough, you know, joules of sunlight. So, but it can absorb only 1% of what energy that falls on it. Even though it receives, you know, numerous joule, you know, energy, the unit is 1 joule. So numerous joules of energies are falling on the leaf, but the grass or the leaf can only absorb only 1% of energy. ഇഷ്ടം പോലെ എനർജി ഗ്രാസിന്റെ മുകളിൽ വീഴുന്നുണ്ട്, ബട്ട് ഗ്രാസിന് എല്ലാ സൺലൈറ്റും യൂട്ടിലൈസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റത്തില്ല. ഇറ്റ് ക്യാൻ യൂട്ടിലൈസ് ഓൺലി 1%. So first step, how many percentage ആണ്? Only 1%. Here I have written 10%. Then you may get confused. Why this 10%? Wait. First ഗ്രാസിന് എത്രയാണ്? ആ ടേം വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആണ്. ആ പെർസെൻറ്റേജ് വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആണ്. എത്ര പെർസെൻറ്റേജ് ആണ്? Only 1%. Grass receives only 1%. And just imagine grass got nearly 10,000 joule. But grass receives, ഇത്രയും സൺലൈറ്റ് വന്നിട്ട് grass receives only 1%. ആ 1% റിസീവ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ഗ്രാസ് ഇപ്പൊ 10,000 joule of energy ഗ്രാസിന്റെ അകത്തുണ്ട്. How many percentage of energy? 10,000 joule. ഇപ്പം ഇഷ്ടം പോലെ സൺലൈറ്റ് വന്നു. This is assumption only. Okay, ഒരു എക്സാമ്പിൾ പറയാൻ വേണ്ടി ജസ്റ്റ് assumption only. ഇപ്പൊ ഒരുപാട് സൺലൈറ്റ് ഫോൾ ചെയ്തു, അതിനകത്ത് ഗ്രാസ് ക്യാൻ അബ്സോർബ് 10,000. അത്ര എനർജിയാണ് സൺലൈറ്റ് വെച്ചിട്ട് ഫുഡ് പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്ത് എത്ര എനർജി മാത്രമാണ് ആർക്ക് കിട്ടിയിട്ടുള്ളൂ? നമ്മളുടെ ഗ്രാസിന് 10,000 joule. When the grasshopper eat the grass, this grasshopper only get what? 100 joule. Sorry, 100 joule, no, 1,000 joule. That is the 10% of it. Grass has got 10,000 joule. Grass now the 10,000 joule unta. So the grasshopper is expecting to get that full energy. But in 10,000 joule, the grass already has made. But the grass need to do so many activities in its body. We are also performing lot of activities. We are performing digestion, respiration, you know, excretion. Likewise, the grass is also having enough activities. So, for performing such activities, grass need what? Energy. But 10,000 joule in the correct energy grass had taken for all these activities. Afterwards, when, as I told you earlier, when one form of energy is transferred to another form, large amount of energy is lost as heat. So after all these processes, then balance is what? Only 10% of energy who will get? Grasshopper. Grassനകത്ത് 10,000 joule ഉണ്ട്, but ഗ്രാസിന്റെ എല്ലാ ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസും അതുപോലെ കൺവേർഷൻ നടക്കുമ്പോഴുള്ള ഹീറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് പോകുന്നതും എല്ലാം കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് വാട്ട് വാസ് ദ ബാലൻസ് ദേർ? ഓൺലി 1,000 joule. Only 1,000 joule of energy ആണ് who gets? Grasshopper gets only 1,000 joule. Clear? That is the 10%. Again, when the frog, so grasshopper is having how many? 1,000 joule is there. And when the frog is grasshopper, again what happened? Does the frog get all the 1,000 joule? Then what? Yes, for the activities of the grasshopper and some amount of energy is lost as heat, and after all these processes, frog will get only 100 joule. Frog will get only 100 joule. Similarly, when the snake eat the frog, snake will get how many joule? 10%. It is the 10 joule. Clear? Actually, the grass is having 10,000 joule of energy. But when the grasshopper eat the grass, it gets only 1000 joule. What happened to balance? 9900 joule. Sorry, 9000 joule. Where has it gone? Yes, it was, yes, some amount of energy is lost as heat. Not only that, some amount of energy was utilized by the, grass for all the activities. Grasshopper gets only 1000 joule. And again, when the frog eats the grasshopper, unfortunately, grasshopper also gets how much? Only 100 joule. That's a 10%. എല്ലാ organism ഏത് ലെവലിൽ പോകുമ്പോഴോ എല്ലാവർക്കും only 10% energy only it receives. Balance എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നു? For the activities of the body and some amount of energy is lost as heat. That is the 10% law. But when you study or when you hear or when you think about 10% law, one thing is very important. What is that? Grass can absorb only 1% of energy falls on it. That is very important. Grass cannot utilize 10%. Grass can utilize only 1% of energy that falls on it. From there onwards, from producer level onwards, 10% of energy is transferred to first primary consumer, that is the herbivorous, then secondary consumer, then the tertiary consumer. If quaternary consumer is there, definitely what happen? Again only what? The snake is eaten by the hawk. It is there. How much? Only 1 joule. Understand? So this is known as what? 10% law. Hope it is clear. So that is the grass gets 10,000 joule of energy. Grass is having 10,000 joule of energy. Grass in the body but when what happened? The grass is utilizing that energy for all the activities. When the grasshopper eats the grass, it gets only 1000 joule, only 10% approximately. The balance will be lost as heat and for the utilization of the body activities of the grass. Similarly, when the frog eats the grasshopper, same thing repeats there also. Some amount of heat is lost, energy is lost as heat, and some amount of energy is utilized by the grasshopper, and the frog will get only what? 100 joule. When the the frog is eaten by the snake, same thing repeats there also. It gets only what? 10 joule. And when the snake is eaten by the hawk get only 1 joule. So that is about the 10% law, and when we observe any ecosystem, we could understand that which type of organism will be more there. Which type of organism? Lowest level producers, then primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers. Numerous organisms belong to which group? Producers. When we observe any ecosystem, we could see that even if the forest or the grassland or the crop field or the pond, wherever we look, we could see numerous numbers belong to which group? Producers. Then because as this increases, as the level increases, the organisms number also get reduced. If it increases, what happened? If only few producers but these tertiary consumers are more in number, what happened? Just imagine a forest or just imagine a garden. Forget about forest. Grass very less, but the numerous snakes are there. Then what will happen there? Will the snake get enough food to eat? If grasses are less, definitely grasshoppers will be less, and if grasshoppers are less, definitely frog number will be less. So if numerous snakes are there, they will compete for the food, isn't it? Yes, that will happen. So all the food chain, it consists of what? Numerous producers. The second position go to primary consumer, then secondary consumers, then last is the tertiary consumers. Hope it is clear. Okay, hope it is clear about the 10% law also. Again, we can move on to the trophic level, and we know that here the energy flows from grass to grasshopper, grasshopper to frog, and frog to snake, and snake to hawk. Can you see any reverse flow of energy here? When the frog dies, does the grasshopper get anything? Imagine. When the grasshopper dies, grass gets anything? No. Of course, in one way we can say that decomposers, they decompose the waste and it can be utilized for the grass. In that manner, we can, not directly dependent. So here, when hawk dies, does the snake get anything? If the snake dies, does the frog get anything? No. So it is the flow of energy. It is not bidirectional. Flow of, very, very important term, flow of energy, it is unidirectional. Flow of energy, it is what? It is unidirectional. Only one way direction of flow of energy takes place. It is very clearly understandable from this food chain. When grass can be eaten by the grasshopper, grasshopper cannot be eaten by the grass, frog can eat the grasshopper, grasshopper does not eat the frog. So only energy flow can take place only in uni means what? Single direction. Clear? So that is about the flow of energy. It is unidirectional. And one more thing we can observe from here. This I would like you to say the answer. Just imagine this food chain. Okay. If grasshopper number is less, just imagine this second trophic level, that's a grasshopper. If grasshopper number is less, what happens? Does anything happen to the food chain? Think and see. If grasshopper number is very less, or if grasshopper is not there in the garden, what will happen to the food chain? Grass is there, frog is there, then of course, then what happens? Immediately, grasshoppers were there, but due to some problems, diseases and all, the grasshoppers, they were destroyed or they were killed. And what happens then? Does it affect the food chain? Absolutely right. Because if grasshoppers are not there, then frog will eat what? Can the frog eat the grass? Then what happened to the grass? Grass, because this snake cannot eat the grass. Frog cannot eat the grass. The grass number will increase, isn't it? That garden will be full of grass because grasshoppers are not there to eat the grass. If grasshoppers are not there, frog cannot survive there because frog need to find out some other organism to eat. If frog number is less, definitely snake also will be in trouble. So if any of this group, then it can be happen to frog also. If frog is not there, grasshopper number will increase and grass number will be decreased. And finally what happened? The snake cannot get any food. So from this you could understand that if any trophic level number of organisms are less, it affects the whole food chain as such. Don't think that if one group of organism is not there, it doesn't affect the other organism. It affects the whole food chain. The balance of the food chain will be completely lost. If grasshopper is not there, grass will grow numerous. And the frogs won't be there, snake won't be there. So we can't call it as an ecosystem. If all these organs should be there and they should interact with each other, then only we can call it as an ecosystem. Self-sustaining, interacting group of biotic factors as well as abiotic factors, then we can call that as what? We can call it as what? As an ecosystem. So hope it is clear about the unidirectional flow of the energy and the organisms in different trophic levels and their importance. And another one more thing I would like to connect with is, when we observe the grass, do you think grass is eaten only by the grasshopper? Grasshopper can only eat only the grasshopper can eat the grass. Then what about the goat? What about the deer? So the same food can be eaten by different types of organisms, and the goat can be eaten by the tiger, and the goat can be eaten by the human, and grasshopper can be eaten by the frog, and that same organisms can be eaten by different types of organisms. That's very interesting one. So instead of creating a single food chain, then we can, as this interconnected food chain is there, it is known as what? Food web. What is food web? Interconnected food chain. It is known as what? Food web. Interconnected food chain, it is known as food web. Look at the board, you can see the food web there. What is actually food web? It is nothing, because single group or group of organism can be eaten by numerous other types of organism also. Grass can be, or plants can be eaten by the A rabbit can eat the plants, and any type of plants I am talking about. Grasshopper can eat that, some insects can eat it, and they can be eaten by other organism, they can be eaten by other organism. So it's an interconnected food chain. Interconnected food chain, we can call it as what? Food web. What is the food web? It's an interconnection of food chain, and that is known as what? Food web. When you look at the board, you can see the food web there, then you will understand it better, because we cannot say that only one organism can be eaten by only one type of organism. It can be eaten by numerous other organisms. They can be eaten by other organisms, and we cannot limit that. Deer can be eaten by only lion, it can be eaten by tiger also, it can be eaten by leopard. So that is a connection is there, so that interconnected food chain, it is known as what? Food web. Then one more thing you should understand from this section, it is that you are supposed to write different type examples for what? Food chain. For normal food chain, you know it, isn't it? Grass, grasshopper, then frog, snake. That food chain is very much. Then aquatic food chain you are supposed to write for the example. They may ask you to write the example of one terrestrial food chain. Terrestrial means what? Land, garden, you know it. Then aquatic food chain also. Aquatic food chain, please note down. Phytoplankton. Phytoplankton is eaten by zooplankton. They are eaten by small fish, eaten by large fish. Phytoplankton eaten by the zooplankton. You know phytoplankton, they are the producers. Zooplankton, they are the primary consumers. These are the secondary consumers, and they are the tertiary consumers. Clear? So phytoplankton is small plants that are seen in the water. Phytoplankton, and small organisms are there in the water. They eat what? This so phytoplankton or the plants, and they will be eaten by the small fish, and small fish will be eaten by the large fish, and they are the tertiary consumers, secondary consumers, primary consumers, and the producers. So this you should write an example. Any example also you can write, but you can, if you are asked to write, you just note down this. If you know other example also, you are free to write, but it should be interconnected. Okay, clear? So today we have discussed about the the different levels in the food chain and the importance of each and every level, and how the energy flow takes place, and you study about 10% law, that is the 1% of energy it can be utilized by the plants. From there, from producers till the tertiary consumers, 10% of energy is only transferred. Balance 90% will go to the environment as heat. Not only that, it can be utilized by the organism for its own life activities. Next one, we discussed about the food web, and it interconnected food chain, it is known as the food web. And if one organism is absent in the trophic level, it can affect other levels also. So with this, we come to the end of this session. So my dear children, please be safe at home, read the textbook. As I told you in the last class, even this very simple chapter, because you can, even though you can expect so many questions, so kindly study it thoroughly. If any doubt is there, you are free to contact me through WhatsApp. Until we meet in the next class, it's bye from me.